you guys are very lucky. I'm debuting a brand new presentation which is going to be famous around the country. So you guys are the first people to ever see this. So what you'll find out very quickly about me is I'm quite against the grain, is a good way to describe me. I like to do things differently. I like to think differently. And what we call in the marketing world, I am a growth marketer. So, no, you're all good. Appreciate you coming along. So the reason why I like to think differently is because I believe we live in a crowded space where lots of people are trying to tell you lots of different things. And so if you find a way to do things a little bit differently and cut through the mustard, that is the key to getting people's attention. And if you get people's attention, you can sell to them. So this presentation is called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And we're going to talk about content today. What I'm going to talk about today is content and the different forms of how they're sort of perceived. Specifically, I want to cover off social media, but this isn't a social media presentation, this is a content presentation, okay? So, content drives engagement. It's basically, in the marketing world, it's how we make our money. This is how we get people to engage with us. And content is everything. It's not video, it's photos, it's articles, it's anything that you can consume as content. Now, video obviously is something that you've been told for the last 5-10 years that it's like, video, you've got to do video, got to do video. The big shift that has changed is obviously short form video is the big thing that you need to focus on, and not enough people are focusing on it. And if we had much of the wider team here, which I've worked with extensively in the past, I'd be throwing shots right now, because I know for a fact that there's still not enough people doing it. And so there's still a lot of opportunity. How this translates is this key stat here. 50%, let this one sink in, 50% of the daily content that's consumed is short form content. That is 50% of the globe of anything that's consumed on a daily basis is short form. Is there anyone in this room that is not using short form in your property listings at the moment?
What short form type? Like real?
Vertical videos. Yeah.
Yep. Come on, Deb,
What's your ideal length in short form? Is it 90 seconds?
So short form is technically 90 seconds because that's the maximum length that you can do.
Yeah.
But then if you want to talk about engagement stats, we're talking like 15 seconds. Yeah, 15 seconds is like much longer than that, you're going to lose them. But then I'm a big believer in let's learn to walk before we can run. And so I'm still trying to get people off static images. You know what I mean? So yeah, but 50%, so you can tell that this is not something where I'm just saying, hey, trust me, this is the future. No, this is yesterday. It's already happened. You need to start doing this 6 months ago, not now, you know? So the stats for New Zealand, just so everyone knows where I'm going with this, is 78% of the population uses YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok all together when you add these things up. So crazy, right? Like, that's the world we live in now. So when you break those stats down, YouTube accounts for 4.13 million users, Instagram counts for 2.5 million users, and TikTok counts for 1.93 million users. That, just to show you guys, because one of the big things that I get people push back on me, right, is like, oh, but that's not my audience. And there is a slide I'm going to cover on that later. But like, look at the stats. That's 47% of adults. 47% of adults. 78% of the population. You know what I mean? So don't give me that hula up. It's bull. Obviously, as Paul, eh? Yeah, so as Paul was asking before, this is short form content is video under 1 minute 30 and it's in vertical format. So this is where the big shift is obviously you guys are used to doing things on that way, we need to flip it that way. And trust me, it's just the way that most people are consuming the content now. So we need to adjust, you know. You can have your opinions on what looks good and what looks good. Who cares? How many people are watching it? That's what matters, you know. So Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts, that's the key stats that you need to know. Reels are also Facebook, just to make that clear. So Instagram and Facebook are Meta, that's the same thing. And so a Reel is a Facebook reel, and the TikTok isn't anything different, really. It's just a different platform. 30 to 50% of the daily global content is short form video, as I was saying. But then when you look at the younger generations, Gen Z and millennials, that actually can go all the way up to 60 to 70% of the daily content consumed. So if you're targeting first home or second home buyers, guess what? 70% of their daily content is short form. Static images are losing effectiveness. Now, I'm coming at this from just for the people that were a little bit late. Obviously, some people know me, some people may not at this point. I used to work at Blade Scenes, and now I run my own marketing agency. So these stats are coming from a marketing agency standpoint, not necessarily like just relevant to real estate people. This is just, as marketers, this is how we think. So static images are losing effectiveness. You can't, when we run ads, I never let a client run a static image ad anymore because it's just not going to give the same return on investment that a video ad will. So why would I ever let my client do that? And so I'm not saying that there's no place for static images, but there's definitely no place for only static images. That's the main point. Obviously, short form video always outperforms in engagement. If you've ever looked, and this is something you can actually like sneakily stalk people on. If you've ever looked at people's like posts and stuff like that, you can actually see how many people are like engaging with certain things. So if you go on someone's reels, you can see how many people are looking at their reels. So if you've ever wondered, hey, this person, that person, what are they doing? You can actually go and find that data out just by stalking them. And then one of my favorite things to do is look at a real estate office's page and look at how many likes that they get on their posts. And then you know for a fact that social media doesn't reward people that aren't putting in effort. And that's the reality of it, is that you can't just grid up a bunch of Canva templates anymore and get away with it, because everyone knows that that's what you're doing. So this is what I'm getting at. Obviously, the myths about social media, I've already kind of covered that off, but that's the main thing to take away. One of the biggest things that I've struggled with clients over the years is getting people to get through their head that you don't tell me your target audience isn't on social media. It is. That we're past that point, and I shouldn't have to argue that anymore. Like 2 years ago, fine, I get it was weird and it was new to everyone. These stats are out. So to cover this off, this isn't people that have accounts. This is 81.4% of New Zealand uses social media for 2 hours or more a day. Cool. So video engages a broader demographic, including all age groups as well. So that's why it's, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a story, right? How much of an emotional connection can you make to a static image? So by using short form video, we're making something that is tangible and consumable for the person we want to see it. And we're also giving us the ability to leave a lasting impression and create a story. Everything in social media is about storytelling now. And I'm going off script a bit, but everything in social media is about telling a story. Storytelling, creative, how do I get people's attention? And if you're thinking about running the Pat Lapa strategy of bull video into a backflip, that's already like on its way out. So that's not going to work anymore either. The easiest way to be good at social media is just be yourself. That is actually the truth. This is how you can run like through a couple of things that, obviously this might be new to some of you guys, but like hands up here who's in their first like 3 years. You, all of you? Yeah? So you have a golden opportunity, you're fresh, right? If you guys are early in your real estate career, don't make the same mistake that agents that have been doing it for a long time are struggling with now. The problem is that agents that have been in the game a while, they've got a database and they've got a situation where they can like go through the motions of doing the same stuff that they've done for the last 5 years and still make a successful business. You guys don't have that. And so when you've got an opportunity to do things differently, do it. Because let me tell you, if you put a little bit of your time into learning this stuff and doing it well, not only will you have a database at the end of it, but you're going to have a loyal following of people who know who you are and are invested in your story. And that is the way to make sure you have a good farmed audience of people that trust you. Trust is something you cannot buy. That is something you earn, and that is how you earn it. So a couple of key tips for that. If you want to get into content creation, it's actually much more simple than you think. Everyone thinks there's a hard barrier of entry. If you have an iPhone 13 or Samsung S20, if you're a Samsung person, loser. That is kind of the minimum barrier of entry, I'd say, though, like, because anything worse than that, obviously, is just, that's getting a bit painful in terms of image quality. So that's kind of where I would cut that off. But things like buying a tripod, you can go down to like Kmart and buy a tripod for like $20. It's nothing, right? You can get a ring light or those clip-on things. Like, don't tell me you haven't been served one of those social media ads of those like ring lights or clip-on things. They're good as well. They work. I've tried it. The quality of these things really increases if you just make some small steps towards actually doing it. Now, it's all well and good for me to say to you guys, hey, just go out and buy the gear, but then all the gear, no idea, right? If you follow some real easy, simple steps, you can get a nice system going where content creation doesn't become a massive hindrance to yourself. But doing things like setting up a tripod of you just walking into a house, setting up an open home, recording a few short clips here, boom, 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 boom. The editing thing is different. That's the thing. Everyone gets real scared about social media because they know of this big like process that you have to go to. Let me tell you, if you just get used to the concept of filming it, that is the first part. If you learn how to film, then you've at least got the footage. You don't have to edit it. If you don't want to, throw it out. But trust me, if you learn how to film, then now you've opened up a whole world where you can actually get someone, i.e. Bergs Digital, to edit your reels for you. And that's a whole different ballgame, right? This is an uncharted territory, and why I'm here doing these talks is because not really anyone's thought of offering this out as a service where handing this as a tool to you guys of being, look, editing is hard. I've been a content creator now for a year. That's the hardest part of the gig. It's not actually filming the content, it's editing it afterwards. So, if it comes down to it, I believe I could teach any single person how to film reels from doing it. After a while, I think I can teach anyone how to do it. Editing, different story, but more difficult. And so, if you learn how to go, what parts of my life are interesting? How do I work on capturing that? Then now we're at a point where you can actually have some content that you can now tell to your audience and share with yourself. The key thing is workflow, guys, and you guys are already good at this, but if you are on your way to a meeting, taking that second to make a story going, hey guys, it's Nicole here, I'm just at this property and this is these vendors, lovely vendors, obviously. This property has this and this going for it. You're not doing anything massively off script, right? It's all stuff that you're thinking, it's stuff you might say, but trust me, if you start doing that, just in itself, it's just making more stories. One, your property videos are going to get 10 times better because you're going to be more confident on camera, you're going to be used to speaking better, and then your overall engaged audience just from your stories will go up. This good quality content is valuable, and that's what we need to shift our attention towards, because if that's where you can learn to do it, different ballgame. Pat is one of my favorite real estate creators because he really thinks outside the box, right? And so just as I was ripping on him before for his bull videos, he was doing that at a time where it was working. If you go on his page and look how many views he gets on his reels, he's getting like 5,000, 8,000, 30,000 views on these free organic reels that he's posting. So hate it or love it, it's working. I'm a big fan of like, there is no right or wrong. If it works, it works. And so creative genius works really well. I think that's a good, in my opinion. Someone that you guys probably know. This is so that was an example of property content, right? How you can be a bit more creative with reels. Now this is more example of probably what everyone in this room is thinking of. How do I do this more? I don't know if anyone saw this one. Yep. So she is very good, yes. And truly, as Ellie would know, like I've been in the game a while and I stalk the shit out of agents. I know who's doing things well and who's doing things not. She is one of the most impressive real estate agents I've seen come into the social media game. She gets it. She gets it. Look at what she's doing because she gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what, if we analyze this for a second, what is the key difference between what she's doing and what other people are doing? Does anyone want to take a guess?
She's just doing it. That's organic. Like that's just a general dandelion.
Exactly. I don't believe that she's putting that on massively. I believe that's her personality. And you can tell it's genuine, it's authentic, and she's just sharing a bit of her life with you. And so if you can do that, you're breaking the stigma of being a real estate agent, that everyone thinks you're a slimy salesman, and you're actually getting people to like you without you having to go out and talk to them. Like, why are we going around door knocking for hours a day if we can just post reels and get thousands of views? It's doing the same thing, right? So that's an argument there. This is an example of an office making an attempt to do social media and doing it terribly. No, I'm not going to tell you whose is what. So what they've done there is they've just stood it randomly at the back of the auction room, and honestly, it doesn't matter if I put the audio on or not for that one. It was horrendous, and it's just there's no thought to it, right? Z actually posted another great one of the event where all she did, and if you notice the way that she does her clips, it's pretty much standing here like this, 5 second, move, 5 second, move, 5 second, tiny.
Most of us ended up sharing her one.
Yeah,
It was great.
because it was great. What I'm trying to help with people that want to come under my mother hen wings is create a space where you guys are working on the thing that you need to work on and not trying to do all these different crazy things that people keep saying. You only need to work on content. That's the reality, is that we're past the point of me selling you this yellow brick road where it's okay, I can fix it all for you. I can't. You need to learn how to do content. That's the reality. Is if you want to be good at this, if you want to be a good real estate agent in the next 5 years, you need to learn how to do it. Because agents like Z and Alabasson are going to run rings around you. That's the thing that you've got to realize, is that they actually come in and they already get how important it is, and they're investing into it early. And so that's speeding their whole journey up, because instead of it taking 2-3 years or whatever it is, they're building massive databases within a couple of years because they know how to do it fast and they're good at content. That's a tricky one. So now, my favorite. Sensitivity warning. This is a bad one, guys, okay? The ugly. Oh my gosh. Just listed, just sold. Oh my God, make me vomit. I'm so sick of seeing this grid. Please, can we stop it? And I know that that's a brash comment. I know that I'm going to hurt some feelings right now. But at the same time, I don't believe anyone looks at this and goes, oh, this is good. It's a Band-Aid. It really is. No one can be bothered putting any creative energy into this anymore. And it's honestly just sad looking at it. So how can we do things differently? Because it's all well and good for me to say some extreme comments right now. But just listed. If you could go in and just do a very similar real concept to what Z did in that thing there, instead of just posting this, just go and spend 30 minutes at the property, record a few photos, zip, 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 boom. You'll get 3,000 views on it. Not straight away, but once you build up your thing, I guarantee you will get more engagement on any of your ever just listeds that you've ever posted on your first reel that you do like this. Rather than doing this, real done up, doled up, sold video and all this nonsense, it's actually just hey, let's boost this raw emotion that's happened between two people, and we're just trying to capture raw moments and build trust and tell the story. That's what we're trying to do. So this is rubbish. Don't do it.
Do you not think doing both?
I just think you can do it better. The thing is that you don't need to do this if you're doing a version of it as a reel.
What about from our business perspective, our business overall business page? What would you suggest there?
Do you mean how it looks on the grid?
No, would you, because we do, and for Carpenter Realty as a whole,
Yeah.
she does those. So would you
Yeah.
suggest not doing those and posting the agent's videos instead?
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's one thing that I can give you guys as a real easy thing. For some reason, I don't know why it is, but None of the agencies, so like the Carpenter Realty, for example, are collaborating enough with the agents' pages. It's one button. I don't understand. And so,
They try and separate it out.
yeah. And so what I would be doing is you have to understand from both sides, there is nothing to lose from a collaborative post. Like when me and Rachel did the Carpenter campaign for Silverdale, we were the ones that created that video. Had a lot of fun doing it with the team. It was awesome. But, you know, that was the first thing we said. It's like, oh, should we collab it? I'm going to post it to my audience. You're going to post it to your audience. Why don't we just post it together? And then boom, it blew up. You got heaps of views, you know. So that's what I would say is, don't be weird about it. It's definitely like we're a team, you know. Everyone's, if you're both going to post it, you might as well cross-post it to both audiences, and both accounts will grow. So that's a huge, easy step that obviously agents actually do have quite a lot of content pumping out, more than the office itself. And so even if you were going to have like stuff like this, it's not actually this that's the problem, it's this that's the problem. So if you sprinkle in some videos and stuff, and then occasionally you've got a little bit of that in there, I'm not like, that's fine, you know?
Have you seen ours?
No.
Can you look at ours and give me some feedback?
Yeah, well, yeah. I was never going to put your one in there, like, no matter how bad it was. But here's my rule, right? It doesn't matter what idea you've got here, you can always do a reel. There's always a way you could turn it into a reel. And so that's what my general rule is from an ROI perspective, because don't forget, I'm not going to sit here and...
Are a reel and a story the same thing?
No, they're different. So stories are the things that you post on your story which disappear every 24 hours. That's for storytelling. That's why it's called a story. And then reels are the things that go out to the algorithm.
And they stay on there?
And they're permanent, yeah.
Those are the things that you scroll through, like,
Yeah.
online.
Thank you,
Rather
Dan.
than typing it.
Good night.
There's two types of social media users, guys, and it's really important that you speak to both. I, on my account, have two very religious audiences. They're both not actually religious, but very like loyal followers. So I have a certain audience that follows me for my reels, but barely ever view my stories, because I can see who these people are, right? I can actually see it. So I know that there's a lot of people that are there, and every time I release a reel, they're back for the next reel. But then my real diehards,
Every piece of content we create, we should try and create a reel for that same thing.
yeah, exactly. But then if you want to like go top level social media, my real diehards are there for my stories. So my account has about 650 followers at the moment, and I average about 120 story viewers a day. Every single day, I'll almost get the exact same amount of story viewers every single day. So I know it's pretty much the exact same people that come back and watch those stories every single day, because they're there for the whole journey. They want the story.
So if you were going to post something, would you post that in a post and a story and a reel or not?
If I was
Different content.
If I was you,
No, I'm talking about something.
yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like if I was in charge of making that decision, I would make that someone's job. I'd be like, this is part of your contract. You are now the face of the company. That's truly like, I'm hiring an intern, right? The first thing I'm doing is putting in their content, and I will not hire someone unless they're comfortable being on social media. It's just part of the job now. I don't care. Like, I will happily choose someone else that is happy with being on social media, because I know how important it is. And so that's just something to think about for future opportunities and hires, is if you've got someone that is a bit of a hybrid role or a hybrid opportunity, that's the perfect thing to put them in, is like, hey, I need you to post 5 stories a day.
Yeah.
Just things that are going on. It doesn't need to be rocket science. And give them creative freedom. Be like, have fun with it, you know? Because that's the point, is it's not about like, let's make this fake and nonsense. It's like, let's enjoy ourselves. Obviously, this is probably a good point to kind of wrap things up before you guys start falling asleep. So short form video is essential. It's a must for real estate success. And that is obviously entry level is just getting your property content to make sure that it's got it. But what I'm trying to get you guys is the true story behind this all is there is a very important discussion to be had around how valuable is that long form video, And I, as an agent, if I was in your shoes, my argument would be, it's for my qualified buyers, but that's really where we're at. Don't sell that misconception to yourself at any point, because I don't believe it's adding a lot in terms of value, in terms of actual advertisement. Because Trade Me supports Reels, as you guys have probably seen. So I know that there's those stats around, okay, if Trade Me has a video on it, it's this and that, yep, cool. But then you can theoretically make an argument, all right, well, I'm just going to put the reel onto Trade Me. That should still have the same value. I'm going to post the reel on my social media, and then I'm going to advertise the reel. It's the way that people like receiving the content, so let's do it in the way they like. You know, that's my logic on it. I don't think it's crazy to think that. Ellie is a good a testament to this, because she's seen the last shift in this of the adapting is very critical. It's one of these things that really swallows people up. If you are one of the people that doesn't adapt with the times, it can really easily see people leapfrog over you. And that was something when I came into the industry, me and Ellie started working together very early into my career. And one thing that I've always liked working about Ellie is she's very much like forward thinking, ahead of the curve. Let's do things differently. How do we stay ahead, you know? And so when we started talking about that and looking at that, the conversations that we had back then have all come true. Everything that I said back then and we discussed, and it's not, I'll give you some credit, you said it as well, it wasn't just me, but those things have all come true. And so we're at that time again. The bell is ringing, and now there's people that are either going to get on the station, or the people that go, oh, I can't do this. If you are 60 plus years old thinking about retiring in the next 2-3 years, cool, drop it, don't listen to me, that's fine. Well, but if you want a longer career than that, this is all really important. And unfortunately, it's going to happen very quickly. As you guys have seen, social media moves so rapidly. And so today I'm going to say, hey, focus on Instagram and Facebook, because I believe TikTok is more of a silly platform. Tomorrow I might be like, hey, scrap Meta. TikTok is the only thing in the future. That's how fast it moves. So obviously the big thing that you have to know is that this is a difficult space and a difficult world, and I'm here to help. Amazing. Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
You guys are all going to be on YouTube.